Yes, guys, welcome back to another episode of Chopping It Up with Charms, where I'm going to run over everything there is to know in the football sort of atmosphere, in the sort of football cosmos at this very point in time. But before we jump straight into all of the, I'll be honest, quite mellow news for the week, don't forget to absolutely left hook, right bang, that like button and that subscribe and do all of the necessary actions in order for me and Dan to grow as human beings, as presenters, as YouTube personalities, really run that bag up. So yeah, before we get into it, do all of that. But yeah, man, first thing I want to talk about this week is the international break. We've got to talk internationals. And we've got to talk about England. Like, it's this again. We're here again. It's the internationals and we're spent looking at England after a loss against a team we should have beat that hasn't won at Wembley in this amount of time ever in their history and all of that. Fuck all of that, man. We need to be better than this. Lee Carsley, I understand the no striker thing. Everyone's confused and screaming the house down about the no striker thing. I don't mind it. I won't lie. Like I'm a bit more of a futuristic like sort of football scholar, but it's just you got like train something, man. You got to jump into something. I mean, him coming out and saying that they had worked with that for like 20-25 minutes of the training ground, it's absolutely bizarre. It's insane. What have we been doing this whole time then? Kickabouts and, oh yeah, like train without Harry Kane and then like just do this. We need to have some form of cohesion. And listen, the players were on full free flow mode. They were just running about playing park ball like, Palmer's just autistic with it, grab the ball, go forward, try and make something happen. Fair enough. Bellingham doing his thing, but outside of the goal is what we're watching. Like, I had it on for about 30 minutes and I said, I'm not doing this. And I was proven why by the final result. It's insanity. It's like, I heard it on Talk Sport not long ago. It's like supporting Spurs. It's just, what are we doing? No matter how good we look at any given point, we're just gonna have games like this where we drop the ball for no reason. And listen, there's no point being mad because it is so ephemeral. It's essentially like losing a friendly. If this was a friendly game, it wouldn't matter at all. And that's going to lead on to the second point. But England itself, I don't know what to say. Coming off of a pretty lackluster tournament where we got to a final. I mean, that's impressive to be lackluster and get as far as we did and look how we did, play as direct and aggressive as we did and still feel bad, because we know we could do so much better. So that's the direct result of all of this, a country of hubbub. Everyone's self-diagnosing the problem for England's national side and everyone's saying exactly how it should be. We end with Lee Carsley. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't even know this guy. Like, everyone pretending they know this guy. We end up with Lee Carsley. That's crazy. We end up with Lee Carsley. And this is what we're getting. It's like 4-5-1, but kind of like a 4-2-3 with the one, but it's kind of, it's so confusing. And watching it just doesn't make sense. And that goes back to what I was going to say as my second point. Like, all of this is a very trial and error sort of thing. And all in all, it's very, very inconsequential. Like, I don't mind the idea of this Nations League, but I don't like the infatuation of the importance of a Nations League, if you understand what I'm saying. I just feel like England, everyone has such high expectations for England. And when we play in like a Nations League tournament and we lose, it's like same old England, everyone hates us. But if we lose in a friendly, it's like, listen, we just come off the back of a tournament, new manager, new players in a new system. We're just trying to see how it works. But I feel like with this tournament attached to it, it almost adds a sense of frustration and importance when we get these results. And this is a period of trial and error. That being said, what I wanted to speak about next is the Nations League. It's a blessing and a curse. I like the fact that, there's more to play for, a bit more of a reward, another tournament, no complaints. I like the system, to be honest, with like the different groupings based on the coefficient. I don't mind that. But just adding more important tournaments that players can't afford to have media scrutiny from losses, I feel like all in all, it's just going to negate a lot of the football that we see in the Premier League. And this is a direct result of a lot of the problems that people are having with the Premier League at the moment. Like the fact that it feels very personalityless. It feels like we've boxed ourselves in with this idea of perfection, that we're removing the game. You know what I mean? We're removing the fun out of a game that we're playing. Because in the end of the day, football is just a very expensive, a very glorified game. You know, people are having fun. We're playing, playing football. We're not going to do football. You know, we're playing football. It's a fun thing to do, and people, all of them are blessed to be doing that role. But to add such an importance, and the media scrutiny that follows up with it, everything that sort of that trickles down based on it, I start to question the worth of the tournament. Obviously, I hate just mentioning Cole Palmer, but you look at a player like Cole Palmer, he's probably not going to be too affected. We know about the density of his prefrontal cortex, and we know that it shouldn't really play too much of a mind to him, and his coolness and how calm he is under the media. But there are other players like Kyle Walker, who I've seen very affected by tournament ball, and I'm not necessarily talking about Nations League or whatever, but I'm just talking in general. And we hear all these all these fictitious stories and all these true stories over the last 18 months, and all these crazy things that the players have attached to them going into these tournaments, even down to remember a few years ago when Foden dyed his hair blonde, and it's like, who cares, man? And this is just more of that during the midst of a Premier League season. So, I don't know, there's a part of me that just sees so much negativity around doing this whole Nations League. And I don't hear, in my opinion, I don't hear it spoken about enough. I mean, if this has been a topic of discussion, fair enough. I mean, I don't have Twitter. I don't use Twitter. I'm outside of that. So, I don't know if that's a thing, but I just personally, I'm a bit 50-50 with it. But once again, more football, watching other teams and other European countries playing football, it can be fun, it can be interesting, and especially, when you see results like today, and, we should have had 5 goals scored against us. Greece played well, and that was an interesting look, and it was something that was very, exciting. It's exciting in some respects, because everyone loves an underdog. We love to see these other countries just come in and do well, and I think that's another reason why everyone's so excited about Spain. I mean, you look at their side, and it just looks like in 10 years all of those players are going to have these veteran storylines, and they're going to have done so much in their blessed careers, and we're just kind of seeing the beginning of it now. And we've seen that with players time and time again. I mean, Yamal's tournament is reminiscent of when Messi was just a kid playing with Argentina, picking the ball up and going from the halfway line and spinning through a bunch of people. You saw Yamal score absolute bangers. You saw the way that he played, so cool, so intelligent. So yeah, man, we're really entering a new era. But yeah, this Nations League, it's got me on a whole speech. This is what I mean, man. These international breaks. Remember when it was just friendlies and you would have David Nugent scoring bicycle kicks from out of nowhere? You couldn't do that nowadays. Bro, I hate this about the modern football, man. Back in the old days, you'd see these international friendlies and they'd be so fun. You know what I'm saying? They'd be so inconsequential, and you can afford moments of sort of lackadaisical energy, and you can afford these moments of passing it round, and you can afford Zlatan Ibrahimovic to go for a bicycle kick from 35 yards. You know what I'm saying? Don't want to talk about who that was against. But yeah, all in all, international football, when it's meaningless, it just feels, just make it meaningless. Stop attaching labels to everything. Well, we can wait for a World Cup. The reason why a World Cup and a Euro is important is the wait between them, you know what I mean? You get that 2-year gap between tournaments, but you get 4-year gap between the same tournament. It always feels like, the World Cup's back, and you get that feeling. If it was every year, it wouldn't feel the same. I just think that England have a long way to go, but I don't think that this is crazy telling. I don't think Lee Carsley has been the idea the whole time, and I think everyone knows that. So everyone who's talking about, I don't think this was the best audition. Well, I don't think this was an audition at all. I think this is extremely temporary, and I think regardless of if we were to win every game 4-5-0, I don't think we would keep Lee Carsley. I think we need a better manager, and I think everyone knows that. I think that's the reason why we've been held back for so long. And yeah, man, this could barely be an audition. I mean, he's gone. This is just a very temporary measure where we find our feet. So expect results like this, and obviously the infatuation of this whole tournament and the prize and all of that, like it can in some respect make them more to play for, but right now it's just creating a lot of drama and hubbub about nothing. And we need to just focus on who are we going to get in appointed as manager, and are we going to be ready for the next international tournament, because it's going to be 2 years, and it's barely any time compared to how long it takes a normal team to gel. Trust me, I'm a Chelsea fan. I've seen a team trying to gel for however long it's been now, 4 or 5 years, and you know what I mean? It seems like it's finally ticking, but I've seen it finally take a couple of times. But yeah, all in, I think England can do an awfully lot better, but I don't think people have got much to worry about. Just look at the individual performances from the players. When we get a manager who's in, who knows how to control all of those players, all of those personalities, I think we're going to be in for a good ride come the next tournament, the World Cup in 2026. But listen, that's been me. That's been chopping it up with Charms, and that is going to be this until next week, man. And hopefully we're not going to have to deal with all of this commotion about absolutely nothing on the international scene and turn it into 11 minutes of something. But listen, I love all of you. If you made it this far, you're the absolute Don Dada, and you know it. So say Don Dada in the comments. Listen, how many people are going to do that? I just came up with that one on the fly. It's going to look cringy if you don't know what I'm talking about in the comments. I've got a couple of those. But yeah, listen, all my blessings, all my love. Take care. God bless. Chopping it with Charles, baby.